Let me ask you something. What if the path to enlightenment wasn't some far-off journey to a remote monastery? What if it was right here, in your own home? It's a pretty radical idea, right? And that's exactly what we're diving into today, based on a fascinating text called The Way of Dharma Enters the Household.
I mean, think about that for a second. That one question basically turns centuries of tradition on its head. It suggests that the most sacred space for our own transformation might not be a temple on a mountain, but the very place we eat, sleep, and live our everyday lives. So, how did we get to this point?
To really get why this idea is such a huge deal, we've got to take a step back and look at the old way of doing things, the path that for a very, very long time was seen as the only way.
For thousands of years, if you wanted to reach enlightenment, the path was just brutal. It meant leaving everything and everyone behind, your family, your job, your entire community, to go live a life of incredible hardship. This wasn't just tough, it was designed for a superhuman few. The source text has this amazing way of putting it. It says practitioners were as many as the hairs on a cow, but the ones who actually made it were as rare as the cow's horns. In other words, success was next to impossible, an ideal for the rest of us to look up to, but not something we could ever really achieve ourselves.
Okay, so if that was the old way, why the massive change? Why this new path right now? Well, the text we're looking at argues that the answer is pretty simple. Our modern world is in crisis.
And when I say crisis, the source isn't pulling any punches. It paints a really grim picture of the times we're living in. It sees a world just eaten up by this non-stop competition, this obsession with fame and money that has basically wrecked our moral compass.
And where does all this decay start? According to the text, it starts right at home, in the family. Parents are so caught up in just trying to make a living that kids are often left without real guidance. And the text hits us with a simple, powerful truth. A breakdown in the family is going to ripple out and become a breakdown in society, because today's children are, after all, tomorrow's adults.
And if you zoom out from the family to the whole world, the stakes get even higher. We're talking about global threats. The source describes a planet on the edge, with the world's biggest power stuck in a scary arms race, building weapons that could lead to what it calls a great catastrophe for all of us.
All right, so things sound pretty bleak, right? A world in crisis? So how on earth is a new path even possible? Well, the answer the text gives us is really fascinating. It's all rooted in this huge spiritual timeline called the 3 eras of Dharma. This timeline kind of maps out all of spiritual history. For thousands of years, you had the green era and then the red era. And during both of those long periods, the rule was the same. To get enlightened, you had to leave the world behind. But here's the game changer. Now we are in the white era. And according to this teaching, this area is totally different. The Dharma, the path, the truth can now be practiced inside society, right where you are.
Now, if that feels a little abstract, the text uses this beautiful analogy to make it crystal clear. Just picture a lotus plant, the green leaves and the red flower. They rise up above the water, right? That's like the old school practitioners who had to rise above society to find their truth. But the white root, the part that grounds the whole plant, it grows deep down in the mud. That root symbolizes us. That's the practitioner of today, someone who can find purity and strength right in the middle of the mud of everyday, messy, worldly life.
Okay, so the path has come home. The Dharma is in the household. What does that actually mean? Like, what do you do? And what's the end goal here?
The vision here is actually incredible. It's like dropping a pebble in a pond and watching the ripples spread out. It all starts with you, the individual, finding your own inner peace. Then that harmony flows out and creates a peaceful family. And as more and more families find that harmony, they become the building blocks for a better society. Until finally, you're talking about global peace, built from the ground up.
And you can see exactly how this works inside the family unit. It's not about one person doing all the work. It's about how everyone's practice contributes to the whole thing. The husband brings stability, the wife brings integrity, the parents bring compassion, and the kids learn gratitude. It's a vision where spirituality isn't some lonely journey, It's something you build together.
And this all leads us to a really crucial final point. So with all this talk of crisis, you might think it's all doom and gloom. But the text frames it in a completely different way. Our time isn't just about crisis. It's an era of unbelievable spiritual opportunity.
To show just how rare and urgent this moment is, the text uses this really powerful image. It says that seeing a mythical iron tree bloom after 1,000 years would be an easy thing compared to recovering from the loss of missing this exact opportunity for salvation. Basically, the chance we have right now
is so precious, so fleeting, that missing it is a bigger deal than some once-in-a-millennium miracle.
So at the end of the day, we're left with these two big opposing ideas. This teaching says our time is one of incredible danger, but also one of incredible promise. It's facing a great catastrophe, but it also holds the key to salvation. So the question it leaves us with is, which one is it going to be? Which of those two forces will ultimately define our era?